we wear that mask and keep everybody out, and then we don't really talk about it until it's too late.
It's a common knowledge in the African American community that we don't go to the doctor. We go to the barber shop, we go to the beauty shop, we go to various family members or to church, but it's rare that we go to a doctor and let a professional take care of us.
A lot of young people, we won't say anything to anybody about anything because we fear judgment. We're afraid of judgment, especially Black kids. We are scared to be judged because we're already being judged every single day.
I think I was at work one day, and I was actually having a very good day at work. This was back when I worked at McDonald's. It was my first job. It was a real stressful job because my hours were all over the place and stuff. And like I said, I was having an unusually good day at work, and then it was just like, I don't know, it just felt like this sludge just come over my whole personality. It was just like I wanted to cry and be angry at the same time, and I just didn't feel like being bothered and didn't really have a good reason as to why.
Well, in your neighborhood, your mom was called the crazy lady, and so it was quite unique living on the street, being somewhat ostracized. She would have periods where she would be a different person. She would be herself at times, but you could tell when the situation was about to change. There would be things that would happen that would lead up to it.
At the time, it wasn't like too deep, you know what I mean? Like I started feeling like something weird was happening, you know what I mean? Because I noticed that with everybody else, that it wasn't normal to feel like sad all the time, you know what I mean? And once I really realized that something was like really wrong, was to a point where I just had my son and I felt like he was unsafe around me. So that's when I realized that something was like off.
On one hand, it's a trust issue thing because it's hard to find Black therapists and Black psychologists out there, and it's different discussing the problems and the things that you feel like are the reason you feel this way when you're talking to someone who may have never experienced these things on their end, and it's harder to relate. And then as far as like self-treatment and stuff, is the list of side effects and stuff on these drugs that they prescribe to you are way worse than the side effects for the stuff I was trying, where I'd get hungry and want a nap, as opposed to suicidal thoughts and bladder problems or whatever the heck else comes with Xanax and Zoloft and stuff.
Well, now I meditate. Back then I medicated. And it wasn't always prescription medication. There were medications that I used that were not necessarily prescription medication, but they made me feel, I felt they were necessary.
I never had a way to cope. I never thought to find a way to cope. Still to this day, I don't have a way to cope. I just deal with it.
I know it's easy for me to speak from the standpoint as a Black male, speaking on behalf of myself and my friends, and we've got this air of hypermasculinity that we're expected to keep up as Black men in the community. So we're not allowed to show those emotions and show that we're hurting or show that we're depressed. So we wear that mask and keep everybody out, and then we don't really talk about it until it's too late. I've had friends where you wouldn't know anything was wrong until you find out they killed themselves over something, and now it's like, oh wow, I didn't even know he was depressed. He was always, you know, so happy and so upbeat and stuff. It's because we feel like we have to hide that stuff to pass in society.
And we don't want to make ourselves any more different than we already are. And I don't know about anyone else, but there's times when you're sitting there in front of the therapist, and even though they're supposed to, their face should be a mask, you can tell by the things that you say to them that they are shocked and amazed. And you really just don't want to deal with that.
As a Black community, we need to stop judging so much. We need to look at each other and realize that we as a Black community are going through a lot as it is, and we don't need to be our own enemies, you know. We have a tendency to do that. We have a tendency to antagonize our own people, you know, and I think we need each other more now more than ever.
I think the most important thing is to open up a dialogue. We don't talk about it enough as the Black community, and maybe opening up those channels closer to, like, say, the more lower income and middle class neighborhoods, because I'm like, in my neighborhood, there's not a psychiatrist nearby. I mean, you gotta go all the way out somewhere that's either too far from home or too expensive. So talking about these things and then making that help more accessible to lower income families and stuff like that would do a great deal, I think.
Don't hide from yourself, you know, because a lot of times we don't even know we have problems. And don't try to psychoanalyze yourself. It's best to go and seek help from a professional. They're trained to help you, and it's best to go and seek help because it's out there.
For people who are going through it, I think that, I mean, like I said, it's easier said than done, but seek some kind of help. Seek some kind of help. You have so many people who are in these communities of people with mental health issues that are there for each other, you know what I mean? Like, don't hold it in. Even if you have to talk to 100 people before one person listens, you know, talk to as many people as you can, you know, even if they feel like, if no matter what, somebody tells you that it's all in your head and that it's not as serious, talk to somebody else. And if they tell you the same thing, talk to somebody else. Just, you have to keep going, and you have to keep talking to people, and you have to get your message out there, and you have to make your condition known.